So I'm here with
Andreas Dalsgaaro, director of the
now let's start out with the title. I like to start out, how did the title come around?
Well, the film is about cities and the way we plan cities. And the fact of the matter is that for the last 50 years we've planned cities for the car. And the thing that happens to scale when you plan things for the car is that the car moves at 60 kilometers an hour, miles, and here's let's say 50 miles an hour. It's pretty fast compared to when you walk. It means that everything in the city is planned so you can look out from the car and see the signs. Everything becomes quite big in scale because you have to be able to grasp it in this kind of speed. Where if you're walking, you walk much slower. You are taking the details of the city much more. The signs can be very small. You still have time to see them. And that creates a very different scale. And you can see it in cities everywhere. The roads, if it's a 50-mile road or if it's a 30-mile road or if it's a highway, have different scales. And if it's a pedestrian walkway, that's a different scale. The human scale relates to the kind of scale that you create when you create a city for walking.
Yeah, that's definitely, you don't see those kind of films going on, and I definitely agree with you going on, especially in modern cities going on, LA, New York, and they're so large, and compared to, you know, going back 60 years ago, the cities used to be so much smaller, and the scales used to be smaller. Now the scales are larger because people drive compared to walking and horse and buggies even back in the day. So what got you interested in the project?
Well, the film is primarily about a Danish architect called Andreas, who has for 50 years been a researcher, researching city life. Basically, he's been sitting on the curb in cities around the globe, studying how people behave, whether they linger, whether they choose to spend time, whether they walk, whether they take the car, and how does the physical environment connect with it? I mean, what kind of physical environment creates what kind of life? In the last 20 years, he started doing projects because he thought, I have to do something about this. I have to make better cities that have more life. And he started doing projects around the globe. He did a big project in New York. He was in charge of making 2,000 kilometers of bikeways and taking traffic out of Times Square and Broadway. And that was basically a project that was meant to sort of change the DNA of the city from being focused on the car to say, okay, we actually want to make this a nice city to walk in, a nice city to bike in, if that's enjoy the transport. He's doing similar projects in LA, in San Francisco, and cities around the globe. Really changing the paradigm about how to walk in cities.
Yeah, that's very interesting going on with it, especially he's doing a lot of major cities going on, like you said, New York and LA. So, where did you shoot the whole film at? What was the location, or did you guys travel, or?
The film has been shot in 8 different locations: Copenhagen, New York, LA, Italy, China, Bangladesh, Australia, and New Zealand.
How long did it take from start to finish to do the whole, from day one to final product in a way?
Well, we spent about a year working on the film.
A year? Oh, in Venice going on, so.
Yes.
Okay. But, so what do you think was the biggest, you think, obstacle for you from directing perspective to get this project accomplished?
Actually, I think the difficult thing was timing.
Timing?
We had a very strict schedule to get the film ready, so time was an issue. It was also difficult to make a film about something as boring as urban planning. Because usually when you think urban planning, it's about engineering, it's very technical, and it doesn't relate to me as a person. The funny thing about urban planning is maybe one of the things in this world that has the most impact on how we live as people, how we are together. So that was really the aim, but it was difficult to turn something technical into something that became relatable.
Yeah. So, because you said you were at the premiere, what was the reception thus far for the film?
Oh, the reception has been very good. We've been traveling to many countries. I think this is the 60th festival that we're screening at. So it's already done really well. It's in cinemas in the US now, and it is in cinemas in many places. It did really well in Australia and New Zealand cinemas. So yeah, I'm very, very excited with the film.
Now, from director point of view, if there was one message or one moral you kind of want people to take away going away from the film, what would, do you have one?
Well, as a filmmaker, I'm not so much into messages, but I'm more into questions, and I think the film is really more a film that questions than it delivers a certain kind of prepackaged answer. And what I want film to take out, what I want people to take out of this film is to walk out of the cinema and say, what kind of life do I want? And to question maybe the life that we have. Could we have a different life, a better life, a more fun life?
Now, what's next for you after this?
Heading to Colombia to finish a documentary that I'm doing there about work.
Any dates you can comment on yet? With that?
It's going to be ready next year.
Next year going on, and gonna start doing the whole festival tour and et cetera, et cetera. It's one of those repeat cycles, like get a film done and then start another project, film it, produce it, edit it, and then once again going out there.
That's how it is.
So from director, I'm sure a lot of our viewers and listeners are aspiring filmmakers, producers, directors, but from directing point of view, if you could give one advice, I'm sure the list is huge, but because you've been doing this for a while and you learned a lot of things along the way, but if there's one crucial advice you could give that you think is important.
Work hard and always question yourself. Are you doing it good enough? Or do you do it better? Can you do it differently? And then work hard.
Work hard and harder going on, yeah. Now, what got you interested in directing in the first place?
I think film for me combines so many different interests into one kind of work. I've always been a musician. I've always been politically interested. I've always been reading and writing a lot. And I'm also a social human being. And the filmmaking process is a social process. Where if I was a writer, I would be too much on my own, but I don't have my mind to take that. So yeah, it really it brought so many good things together.
Now, regarding the current film, is there any plans for digital or physical distribution, or any things you can comment on regarding that?
We're opening in cinemas in New York on the 18th
of October.
So that's the premiere here, and it will travel to more cities in the US. It's already traveled to quite a lot of festivals in the US, but it will open in cinemas in the next few months.
Okay. And then potentially going after that regarding private releases going on regarding maybe iTunes.
It's gonna be ready on iTunes, on what do you call it, VOD.
Okay. So you can find it everywhere. Now, regarding so they can keep track of your progress, where's the place? Website, Twitter, Facebook.
Search for The Human Scale. We have a Facebook page. We have a homepage, and yeah, so search for the distributor, Kipston here in New York.
Now, one of the questions I like to ask is going on. Just looking at the film industry in the past 20 years has progressed so fast over those 20 years, going back to early 90s and 80s, and before that, people still shot by regular film, 16mm film going on, and when they edited, they would actually look at the film and actually cut it. Now, and here we're in 2013, and there's Netflix and Hulu and YouTube. Now, how do you think that has impacted the industry? Do you think it's kind of overcrowded because there's so much content out there, and it's so much easier for people to go and buy a webcam in Best Buy or a different store, and they sit in front of a computer, or maybe have a video of their dog rolling around, or cats seem to be popular on the internet. So how do you think it impacted the industry?
Well, you already said it. It has changed a lot. I'm quite young, so I wasn't even around when we were primarily analog. So I think the only thing you can say is that it keeps changing, and it keeps maybe even changing faster and faster. And the adaptability is what's really asked for. The rules of today will not be the rules of tomorrow. And the people who can find new ways, adapt, are good. I mean, there's definitely more stuff out there. There's more crap, but there's also more good stuff, and it's more difficult to navigate maybe. But on the other hand, it also means that there's huge creative output all over everywhere. That's for that.
Now, also another question we'd like to ask is that, because we want to talk about how it's changing so quickly, where do you think, or where do you want the film industry to be in, let's say, 10 years? And what do you think is going to be next for it? Or because 4K cameras and 4K 3Ds coming out, in the next few years, but what do you think that we're hoping for to happen?
Well, I don't care so much about technical stuff. I think we're already at a place now where people can go out and do it with their own phone. So the technical stuff is no longer an obstacle. But what is an obstacle is new kind of storytelling, new kinds of topics that are brought onto the screen that can change the way we think about our own life. And that's an obstacle to get it out. It's an obstacle to make it reach an audience. Make it different. So that's what I'm hoping.
So more not so common topics that, for example, with this film, because I've never seen anything like that being done before, more of these kind of ideas and topics kind of becoming more into the public view and having public reception and anticipation and fan bases associated with that. Is that what you're hoping for, right?
Yeah, basically, to expand the vision, and that's what film can do, and that's what great films does. So more of those.
Now, regarding keeping track of your projects, where people can keep track of you personally. Well, do you have a personal website that you keep track of your personal projects? For example, with the film that you're doing in Colombia, so if they want to keep track of you directly.
Yeah, but it's currently reconstructed, so it will come out.
Okay, well, we'll get your contact.
Just search my name, search
Okay.
search the films, the titles.
Now, any last words or shout outs you want to do to family back at home, or any final words you want to sum it up?
Go see the film.
Yeah, you heard it first going up from the director. Go see the film. Once again, thank you very much for your time, and I'm excited about seeing the film because, like I said, I've never seen something like that before compared to the existing franchises that rebooting everything, and it's interesting to see something you don't see every day, and I'm sure it's very hard to kind of push it through because of that, but I'm sure it's going to be great, and we're going to keep track of you and your future projects in the near future. Thank you very much.